Hey everyone, so why is it that your 2-year-old doesn't want to nap? They do still need to nap when they're 2, but they just don't want to. Why? Well, I've got 5 tips for you today that will help you understand why they don't want to and what you can do about that. Number 1 is that life at 2 is just so exciting. There's so much to see and do and explore and practice. Why would they want to just stop what they're doing and take a nap? No 2-year-old is going to choose to do that, but they do still need to. So having some calm time can really help, and having that routine so they know what to expect and they know that it's the same every day, and then you're more likely to get them on board with the idea of taking that nap. Tip number 2 for you. Settling for naps is hard. It's hard even if your toddler used to nap well. Perhaps they were always a good napper, they took naps nicely, but suddenly they just don't want to anymore, and now it's hard, and you think, well, perhaps they don't need it. And actually, it's not that they don't need it, it's that they just don't want to anymore. They're not quite so compliant with it anymore. Or on the other hand, maybe they never have napped well. Maybe they've always struggled to settle to sleep, and it's now even tougher because they are 2, so you have that added hindrance in there that you now have a toddler that just doesn't want to. And it's an easy thing to just think, well, let's stop, which I'll come to in a minute. So it is hard, and that's something you need to work on. So working on those settling skills. Maybe they are a good settler at bedtime, they settle well when it's easy, but when it gets really hard, like settling for a nap is really hard, they can't do it. You need to practice that. Or just like resettling at 4 or 5 in the morning is really hard. So just because perhaps they're good at it at bedtime when it's easy, when the going gets tough and the challenge is on, they can't quite do it. So work with them on that, help them. They might need your assistance to begin with, so you can help them settle, help them get better at it so that they can then settle and take that nap. Tip number 3 for you. So many parents will give up. They will just go, oh, it's so hard, and or they'll assume, oh, they don't want to nap anymore, they don't need it, and they'll drop that nap. And dropping the nap at 2 is not a good idea. They do still need their sleep. Some will need more than others, but they do still need something when they're 2. And parents might say, oh, but we dropped it, a few weeks ago and everything's fine. Maybe, but it can take a good 3 months or so before you actually start to see the repercussions of that loss of sleep. And often it will show up with night sleep being unsettled, more disturbances, early rising is a classic one. So do be careful about dropping that nap too soon. At 2, they should still be napping. There will definitely be more benefits to that. So don't just do what your friends are doing. It's like a snowball effect. One parent says, oh, this is really hard, I'm not going to do it anymore. They stop the nap. Then another parent thinks, oh, well, my friend's not napping anymore, maybe they don't need to, and they drop the nap, and it continues. Or parents see that their toddler's little friends have all stopped napping, so they decide to stop the nap too. It just snowballs like that. So you need to know better. You need to go, yeah, that's fine for them, but I know better, and I know my child needs that sleep. Tip number 4 for you is it could be bad timing. Is it bad timing? Bad timing is when you're trying to put your child down for a sleep, but they're perhaps either overtired or undertired. It could be either way. There is a window of about half an hour where your child will find it easiest to settle to sleep. And if you miss that window, if you try too soon or too late, they're going to struggle more. If they're undertired, they're going to struggle because they're not ready. And if they're overtired, they're going to struggle because the brain releases chemicals that keep them going, and they're into a second wind. For more on that, there is an episode I've done about overtiredness and more detail about what goes on scientifically. So check that out for more on that. But just know that there is an optimal window, and if you miss that window either side, it's going to be even harder, let alone the fact that it's hard enough during that optimal window to get a 2-year-old settled to sleep. So timing is really key. What is a good time? 2-year-olds, generally speaking, will settle well around 12:30 p.m. after lunch, roughly. That might vary slightly depending on your lifestyle and how the day is structured for you. But if a typical, night time is between 7 p.m. and 7 a.m., then about a 12:30 p.m. Sleep time would be a good time. But after lunch, they're fed, they're ready, nice calm process to lead them into it, and then a good sleep. And an average of 2 hours is quite normal for a 2-year-old. Perhaps they'll fall a little bit short of that, and it will gradually decrease in time, but I certainly wouldn't wake them up from that nap. Let them take what they need, because they'll let you know how much they need. And my 5th tip for you is things like nodding off in the car or pushchair. So grabbing a bit of a motion nap can throw off their main nap. It's okay if they take their whole nap. Perhaps they have lunch and off you go, out you go somewhere, and they do a good 2-hour sleep in the pushchair or something. That's fine, nothing wrong with that. But what I'm saying is, if perhaps in the morning you're coming back from an activity or you're out and about and they fall asleep and they do even just 5 or 10 minutes of sleep on the go, that could be enough to take the edge off and then make it very, very difficult, if not impossible, to get them down at nap time. It really can be that significant, just a 5-minute snooze just before you arrived home, and then yeah, it's going to be really tough to get them down for that nap. So do be careful with that. If you're thinking it's impossible, they'll never sleep, and that could be a reason why. That could be hindering you. So let's get rid of all those hindrances, all those things that are not working in your favour, so that everything is in your favour to conquer the challenge of getting a 2-year-old to nap, which is hard enough anyway. So let's get all the odds in your favour and go for it. 2-year-olds do still need some sleep in the day.